to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, welcome to the family. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell down below so you don't miss any future uploads from me. And if you are not a first-time guest and you're returning, well, thank you for coming back. I'm always glad to see you guys on my videos and in my comments. I appreciate you guys so much. First of all, I have to say thank you guys for getting me to 100 subscribers. I haven't even been YouTubing for a full 5 months yet, I don't think. And I've already hit 100 subscribers. That is about 20 subscribers a month. My stats are on the upswing. You guys are phenomenal, and I love how hard you ride for me. It's nothing but love here. So even if you're a fellow creative and you stumble upon this video, don't be afraid to join the family, okay? And also join me on Instagram and Facebook if you want to. I'm not as active on Facebook. The links are down below. On Instagram, I'm super active, super intimate, and even if you're a fellow influencer, creative, whatever, my pages is nothing but love, nothing but family support, and everybody shows up and shows out, okay? So thank you guys so much for getting me to 100 subs. I will be doing a giveaway. My Instagram is on its way to 2K followers, and my goal for the year was 3K. So y'all just like showing up and you're supporting your girl, and you guys are such a light for me in a time that could have otherwise been very dark after relocating to ATL. So I just love you guys so much. Keep the momentum up, share my page, keep it going. Also, I have to mention that this video is sponsored by Regina Smith with Young Living and Savvy Minerals. I'm wearing one of her lipsticks right now, and I have an ongoing partnership with her. So stay tuned for links. The link might actually be down below in this video, but stay tuned for links also where you can purchase this lipstick and where you can really just get to see other products. And before I get into the video, I am going to cut into a clip just explaining this lipstick in a brief message. So look at this sponsorship clip, and then I'll be right back. Thank you to today's sponsor, Regina Smith of Savvy Minerals by Young Living. This lipstick that I'm putting on is by Savvy Minerals, and it is from the Tangerine Oil Infused line of lipsticks. Each lipstick contains tangerine oil, which is known to boost your immune system as well as your confidence. It doesn't contain any chemicals or toxins, and it is also Seed to Seal verified. This is perfect for the ladies who love clean makeup, who love effortless makeup, and who love makeup that is versatile. Make sure you click the link down below to get this at a great price and check out the shade in Bedazzled. Let's get back into the video. That was the sponsorship. Again, click the link down below if you would like to learn more about this lipstick or possibly purchase it. Also, you can look on my Instagram. I do have an IGTV up going into detail, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between on this lipstick and why you should purchase it or why I like it. So anyways, let's get into this story time. I did a poll on my Instagram page, and you guys wanted to hear this story first. I put up like a couple of different story time ideas, and you guys voted for this one basically to be first. So I'm going to talk about how I dumped my ex-fiance. Also, if it sounds like I'm talking a little lower, it's like 3 in the morning here. I finished working DoorDash, and I was like, let me just take this video and get it over with so I can edit it early, get it up, and just be on my way. So if I'm not talking as loud, it's because I don't want to wake up the whole house, and I definitely don't want to wake up my son. Y'all know he could be a little rowdy, but we're going to talk about how I dumped my ex-fiance, and we have to go back to the year 2012, okay? So 2012, when the year started, I was talking to 2 guys. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am an advocate of multi-dating. I feel like dating is your time to collect as much data as you can for each candidate. It's basically like a job listing, like you're interviewing a guy to be in your life. Who's the best candidate for the job? I don't think that's your time to be booed up with someone all extra deep and stuff, but that's me. You know, dating doesn't mean you're having sex with someone. It just means you're getting to know. So that's what I was doing in 2012. I was living my best life, and I was multi-dating, and there were 2 guys pursuing me, and I was talking to them, going out, hanging out, doing our thing, whatever. Now, one of them pretty much by like April, May, I knew we weren't really going to go anywhere because he was just a little bit too all over the place for me. And we ended up just being cordial. To this day, once in a very blue moon, we'll say what's up and that's that and call it a day. The other one, he stuck around longer, and it seemed like we really had great potential. I mean, he was just everything. For the most part, he was like a good 80% of what I want in a mate. And both of these guys were good looking. I have to say, like, this is a quick, just, you know, a little disclaimer or a little to my own horn moment, but I've always had some fine men on my arm, okay? Like, your girl can pull. I remain humble, but yeah, I could pull. Both of them were fine, all right? So it's never really like the attraction part. It's always something different and usually something in depth. It's not even anything petty a lot of the time either. But anyway, so the second one stuck around, and we'll call the second one that stuck around, we'll call him John. So John hung around until about October, right? And so October came around and John disappeared. I mean, I'm texting him, I'm calling, I'm not getting the answer. I'm like, what's going on? Is he ghosting me? Did I say something? Is he not interested? So back then, and even now, but back then I really realized, like, I'm not going to just waste my time chasing a guy down. So I'm just going to go ahead and just stop texting him, you know? And that's what I did. I stopped texting him. So during the time that he was gone on vacation, I didn't know that, but he was gone for about almost a month, like 3.5 weeks. Within that time is when I met my ex-fiance. We'll call my ex-fiance Trevor. Okay, so while John is on vacation, I meet Trevor, and I met Trevor on this site called Moco Space. Now back then I used to be on a lot of different apps and sites because I was just bored. Like, I had my own place. I didn't live far from my family, but I had my own place. I was settled in my career. I used to party a lot back then, a way more than I do now, but even then I wasn't at the club every single week, Thursday to Sunday. Like, you know, there were some weekends where I was just in the house just bored, you know, and I would just go on these sites and talk to guys or play games or whatever, you know, just peruse around. And that's how I met Trevor. Now, needless to say, when Trevor messaged me, I was kind of made up in my mind that I was going to be on a mancation because I was tired of talking to men, and it always flopped because in 2011 I was dating a guy for, I would say, almost a whole year, to be honest. And it was so on and off because he had some unresolved issues from his ex. He was engaged before and stuff. So, you know, then I rolled over into 2012 with these two guys pursuing me, and none of them worked out. So I was really just kind of at the end of my rope. Like, you know what? I'm just done with men. I'm done with dating. I'm just going to live my best life. And if I happen to meet a guy who's like a good friend, someone that I could just go to the movies with or bring as a +1 to an event or something, then that's all good. So I was not in my mind thinking, oh, let me, you know, holla at dudes or date someone. So I see, mind you, I see Trevor on the site because the way Moco Space was is when you open the app on your phone, it would bring up like 20 to 24 guys or whoever you wanted to match with in your area that they thought would be like good friends for you. And basically, we know friends meant dudes that would try to holler, right? And so you could either accept them all, accept some, deny them all, deny some, whatever, you know. And granted, I have to put this in there, Moco Space was ratchet, okay? Like, Black Planet was ratchet, but Moco Space was nothing but like Mac dudes, drug dealers, ex-cons, you know, all the, like, I'm talking like hood, okay, like hood fab, hood rich dudes, that type of thing, right? So I knew I would get love on that site because, I mean, to be honest, hood dudes love women like me. I'm not even gonna lie. And it's not that I'm looking for them, it's just like I'm such an upgrade for them a lot of the time that it's like, wow, you know. And to be honest, I can get along with anybody. Like, I've never been one of those people where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna talk to you. Like, I'll entertain conversation, but I'm not necessarily looking to be with the hood dude. No offense, you know. I love a little bit of hood-esque-ness, you know, but I don't want to be like gutta, you know. And so, needless to say, Trevor pops up on that list of like the 20 to 24 guys when I first opened the app. So I remember seeing his picture and I'm just like, oh, he looks like a nice dude to chill with. And then I just went about my business. I think I accepted all the guys on that first page. And I was just like, whatever. Like, if any of them turn out to be a good friend, well, then it wasn't a waste of my time, right? So I go about my day, and then I think it was that same day or maybe the next day, Trevor sends me a DM, and this is before DMs were called DMs. And so I see the message, and I'm like, I remember seeing this guy's picture yesterday or whenever it was, and thinking to myself, he seems like a nice guy. So he sends me a message, and he's just like, hello, beautiful, hello, gorgeous. Typical thing, again, like I said with the last story time. And once you put a fly picture up, ladies, the men come like bees to honey. It really doesn't take much. So he sends me the pleasantries. I'm looking at his page and I'm like, okay, it says that he's from Louisiana. Okay, so he's not local to the DMV, which means he's still fresh. Like, he's still, well, he wasn't a DMV, let me say that, but he's not a native. So I was like, he's still fresh. I don't think the city's gotten to him yet. So that could be, you know, a good friend to have. So I'm responding back and everything. And I have to say, from the first conversation, he always made his intentions known. He never made me feel like, is he interested in me? Is he not interested in me? And that was one of the things that caught my attention about him, because so many guys would send me messages, but it just, you could just tell it's BS. Like, you could read through it. But with him, he was always like, persistent and consistent. I like to say that he was persistent in his efforts, but he was also consistent in the way that he did it. So that way there was no gaps long enough for me to say like, dang, like, is he really feeling me? Is he not? You know? So he asked for my number. I think it was in the second conversation. He asked for my number. And as soon as we get on the phone, it felt so comfortable. It felt like I knew him all my life. Like, you know, when you are dating a guy at first and you get on that first phone call and it's just kind of like, yeah, so yeah, what did you do today? okay, what you doing right now? Haha. It's just awkward pauses and stuff like that. But my ex-fiance was never like that. Like literally, and he would say this too. From day one, it was like we just clicked. We just vibed. It went well, no issues, whatever. And honestly, he's the first guy I felt that with. And to be honest, the only guy, even to this day, I didn't even feel that with my son's father, but that's another story for another day. We're all spilling the tea on that. So anyways, we exchange numbers, we get on the phone, everything feels right. And within I think it was the second day I was talking, he was like, we have to meet up. That's another thing I liked about him. He didn't waste a lot of time beating around the bush, because I hate when you give a guy your number and he's like just texting and never once says like, hey, let's go out, let's meet up. Like, I love in-person interaction. I love to text too, because I'm always on the go, and I love to video chat when I can. But at the same time, nothing beats that human in-person interaction. And that's what he suggested. We weren't talking on the phone for, I don't even think, a week before he suggested we go on a date. And I was impressed by that too, because he was pretty new to the area, to the DMV area. He took the initiative to ask me out, and he took the initiative to plan. Like, I gave him some, places we could go to, because he didn't know like all the metro train stops and stuff. But once I gave him like the basics, he basically took the initiative upon himself and was like, let's go here, let's do that, And I love museums, so I had suggested that to him. He was like, okay, cool. And he did his research, and that's what we did. So after I met him, like a week in, we had already planned the date and everything. John comes back from his vacation. And at this point, Trevor and I are like hot and heavy, right? Because Trevor had told me like, okay, I met Trevor like a couple of days after we exchanged numbers. We went on our first date. So as we're preparing the first date, John comes back in town and he sends me a text and he's like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, hey, da-da-da. And that's it. Like, we just talk, it's casual, nothing serious, right? And so I go on the date with Trevor. And we meet up in DC. I remember we met up at LaFont Plaza, which to this day, I still have a bracelet that he gave me, which I'll talk about in a second. It was like an inside joke. So we met at LaFont Plaza. He kept calling it Elephant Plaza. And I remember showing up to the train station. I was super nervous, and I remember seeing him in person, and he didn't quite look like his picture. It wasn't a catfish situation. It wasn't like he was ugly, but I was just like, he doesn't look like his picture. Like, his picture made him look, I don't know, I guess a little younger. In person, he looked like older. And I was just like, okay, this is different. But he gave me a hug. We went off to the art museum. No, we went to the Native American Museum first. And then we went to the art museum. We walked around. I was showing him all the different artifacts, telling him little fun facts about DC, because I'm a history buff. I love history. I love museums. So I'm telling him all these quirky facts and stuff. And he's just like, wow, like, you should be a tour guide and all this kind of stuff, right? And so we end the night by the Washington, we end the night by the Washington Monument. Let me get a sip of my arm. Arnold Palmer. I can never say that quickly. I have to drench it with ice because Arnold Palmer would just be like too sweet for me these days. But anyway, so we ended the night by the Washington Monument, and that's where we had our first kiss. Mind you, we hadn't even been talking like a week yet, or maybe it was just about a week. We had our first kiss, and it was just like sparks, like, psh, like, conversation was bomb. Vibes was bomb. We went to one of my favorite barbecue restaurants in DC called Hill Country Barbecue. I think it's still there on 7th Street. Absolutely love it. He bought like this 2-person meal. I honestly ate most of it because he was running his mouth so much. I was eating it. I was enjoying that barbecue. And he was just like, to this day, he was like, I like that though. Like, you stole the meal, but I like that you felt comfortable. I didn't feel like I had to be fake. And ladies, if you feel like you have to be fake around a guy, that's not the guy for you. You should be able to be yourself. Like, keep it cute on the first date. You don't want to unleash it all, but you should definitely be able to like be yourself. If you like a good meal, if you like barbecue or whatever, and you want to eat like a barbecue burger or like a half rack of ribs or something like that, you should be able to do that and not feel like you're going to be judged. So that's one thing I love about my ex-fiance, is that we always felt comfortable around each other. It never felt like a judging or like I got to pretend to be something I'm not type of thing. So anyway, first date ended, and after the first date, he had told me that he was going to be out of town. No, he wasn't going to be available for 2 weeks. I think 1 week he had to do something with family, and the next week it was like leading up to Thanksgiving, because now we're in November of 2012. And so it was leading up to Thanksgiving, and the job he had at the time, he had to go to the Eastern Shore of Maryland with his boss to, because he was like a home nurse, to help the patient and all that, while they were visiting family for the holidays. So he was like, I won't be able to see you to the end of November. My birthday's end of November. Like I said in the last video, I think it's always around Thanksgiving, or sometimes it is actually Thanksgiving Day. And so by this point, me and Trevor are hot and heavy. Like, at this point, feelings of love are growing. We're vibing. We're talking every day. It's like he's actually like my best friend type thing, And that's why I don't believe in time limits either, because within 3 weeks, we pretty much knew like we wanted to be with each other, So I don't believe in like, oh, it has to be 6 months before you make it official. No, if you vibe with someone, like that's saying like when it is so true. When it's the one, And it was one of those situations. So John comes back in now, and And he's really like, okay, like, why aren't you talking to me as much? What's going on? This, that. And I'm just like, well, I'm dating somebody. So John kind of gets mad, and he's just like, you're dating somebody already? I didn't even leave that long, and you already on to the next. And listen, I'm the type of woman, like, I'm not like that now because my standards and what I want are so specific, and not in like a unreachable way, but I know what I need in a husband, that I don't entertain a lot of guys. But if I entertain like everybody that came my way like I used to back then, trust me, once a guy left and he turns his face for 2 seconds, another guy's gonna come and swoop me up. Like, that's always how it's been. You don't talk to me for a little bit, the next guy's gonna come and swoop me up. And so anyways, John is like, dang, like, you already talking to someone? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty hot and heavy, you know. So he's in his feelings now because he's like, dang, like, I thought we were just gonna take it day by day. You said you were on a mancation and this and that. I was on a mancation because both of y'all were playing games, you and the other dude that I cut off basically, or like fell back from in the springtime. That's why I was like, I'm just gonna take it day by day. But if somebody who knew what he wanted came along, of course I'm gonna jump on that. So anyways, John ended up just being like a friend in the background, and he ended up just kind of lingering around throughout the whole relationship, kind of trying to like shoot his shot, trying to see like when an opportunity would end. But to this day, and I still talk to John on occasion too, to this day I tell him all the time, like, you were scared, like, you could have had me as not even your girl but as your wife, because the connection that we had to was pretty strong. But his problem is like, he wants everything to be perfect, he wants everything to like be exactly how he wants it to be, and you can't do that in life, otherwise you'll never be with someone. So he ended up just kind of lingering and waiting for his opportunity and stuff like that. Trevor and I became really tight, like I said. So December rolls around now. We're approaching the Christmas holiday, and I think it was around early December, Trevor and I had told each other that we love each other. We were on the phone, I remember it, and he said something, and he asked me to help him with something, like research something or whatever. And so I helped him with it, and I found the answer to his question or his problem. And so I sent it to him, and he was like, man, I just really want to tell you that I love you right now. And I was like, I might say it back if you say it. And he was like, I love you. And I was like, I love you too. So we exchanged I love yous, and it was like so sweet or whatever. And then Christmas came around. He spent Christmas with his family, but his stepmom had told him that he had to get me a Christmas gift. And I love his stepmom and his dad. Like, we are so tight. Even to this day, if I'm ever in the area and I go to their house, like, I'm always welcome, period. Like, they love me to this day. And so his stepmom was like, you got to get her a gift. Like, that's just a procedure, right? So he went to the store and he saw this bracelet with elephants on it. And remember, I said he called LaFont Plaza Elephant Plaza. So that became a joke amongst us, because I would always be like, oh yeah, LaFont Plaza. He'd be like, you mean Elephant Plaza? So he got me the bracelet with the elephants. And I remember he brought it in a small box and everything. He didn't spend Christmas with his family. He spent Christmas with me. So he came to my house Christmas Eve, and he brought the box, and he asked me if I would be his girlfriend on Christmas Eve. And I was like, yeah. So he gave me the box. I opened it, and I was like, oh, elephant bracelet, you know, our little inside joke. So we're laughing and stuff. He spent Christmas with my family, a traditional Guyanese Christmas. And then he left Boxing Day, I think, and went to spend time with his family, because his family was doing something else. I don't even remember if they were in town, because like I said, he's from Louisiana, and they still traveled a lot to see their family back there. Or he would like sometimes go to Florida to see his mom and his stepdad. And so we became official in December, right? So fast forward to like February, his family, his dad and him had gotten into a disagreement, a misunderstanding. And so he ended up moving out of his parents' house and moving into my house. So we were living together like not even 2 months into our relationship, like a month and a half, he moved in. And I mean, it honestly wasn't that bad. Like, my brother was staying with me at the time, just very briefly for a few days while he had to deal with some other stuff. And, while my brother was there and he was there and all that, it was just a fun time for the most part. Like, it really wasn't anything too dramatic. I mean, my brother was being petty back then, and he used to be like, oh, I don't like him for you and this and that. And he had his reasons, but I just feel like my brother was just being petty. And if he sees this, he's probably going to disagree. Like, no, I wasn't being petty. But I just feel like he was like, look, you're my baby sister. I'm not going to like anybody that's type of thing, because my brother is 15 years older than me. He's like eagle eyes, and he's well known in DC. So anytime I would go to parties or whatever, 9 times out of 10 it was his party, and guys wouldn't even try to holler at me because be like, oh no, you wrong, sister, like I'm not even gonna mess with you. And I'm like, dang, like wait a block, my brother loved that. It's like, yeah, don't talk to her, that's my sister. So I always had a squad of dudes that see me as a little sister. Even to this day, when I'm in the DMV, it's like a squad of men that are like, that's little sis, that's little sis. So I just think it was one of those things with my brother. But needless to say, it was nothing too dramatic. So throughout the course of our relationship, I mean, things went pretty good, but we did have some instances where like his mom in Florida didn't really care for me, and she didn't really have a valid reason why. It would just be like, I would answer the phone, and I've always been an extroverted person. I've always been a people person. So I would say hello, and she would just be kind of cold. Like, you could tell when someone doesn't really want to talk to you. So she would be kind of cold and stuff like that. and his stepdad would be a little bit more talkative. He's more the friendly one and stuff. And his sister, his older half sister, came to DC and visited one of her friends, and we all hung out. So I was cool with her. His younger sister, we would talk on the phone every once in a while. His aunt, you know, so it was really just his mom that was like causing a wedge in our relationship. And ladies, I know they say like, you know, who you're dating is not the family. You're dating the guy or you're marrying the guy. But I'm telling you, if you can find a man whose mother likes you and whose family likes you, it makes life a lot easier. Because yes, your relationship is between you and that guy, but your experience is that much better when the people surrounding you agree with it. And you don't have to have that. Like, you can have a successful relationship without that, but you have to have someone who's very strong in loving you and strong in dealing with all of that adversity. Because it's one thing when like random people don't agree with your relationship, or even some friends, but when your family, especially like a mother or a father, or you know, just an immediate family member doesn't like your relationship, someone that they're close to, it could really cause a wedge. So you know, that's something that you want to be prayerful about. That's something that you want to watch out for. If it's a mother or just anybody that he's close to that's like constantly causing a wedge and he doesn't have the strength to stand up to that, don't even entertain that relationship. Because again, I know I have young ladies that watch me, so just be prayerful about that. And if you can find a situation where the families get along, that is like golden. Because I've grown up in a situation where I've seen in-laws that didn't care for like me and my sister or my mom and stuff like that, and it just causes a very, very like tough situation when it doesn't even need to be that serious or that deep, you know. And that was the case. She would just always have like little slick stuff to say to him, or she would just not be the most welcoming. Anytime he would like share information with her about us progressing as a couple, she wouldn't really celebrate with us. She would just kind of just be like, you know. Now granted, I have to say that my ex-fiance did have a record. You know, he was incarcerated at one point, but he turned his life around for the better. I mean, today he's doing so well for himself, and I'm so proud of him. And honestly, he would say a lot of that is attributed to me, and I'm not even tooting my own horn here, but it's true. Like, a lot of the stuff that he knows today, he learned in our relationship just by seeing like how I do life, or, you know, certain things that I knew about that I would like put him on game on and just help him out, you know, in certain aspects, and just even being that support system for him while he got himself together. So he's really, really turned his life around, but his mom just wasn't here for it, you know. So needless to say, fast forward to, I want to say, was it September? Think it was September 2013 or something like that. The church that I was attending at the time in Maryland, Zion Church, woo-hoo, Pastor Battle, love Zion Church. They had just started their premarital counseling classes. Like, now it's a thing. They have a whole ministry around it and all that, but back then it was new. And so I remember we were in church one Sunday, and my ex-fiance heard the advertisement, like in the church announcements, and he turned to me and he was like, "We should do that." And I was just like, "What? We should?" I was excited because, mind you, like I said, at this point in my life, I was very settled. I had a great government career, GS-12, okay, my own place, a car, everything was just on fleek. I had no children, nothing, right? So I was just waiting to get married and have children. Like, that was literally the missing piece of my life. So when he said that, I was like, wow, you know, like, he really takes this seriously. Because I have to say, with all the adversity that we face with his mother and just like other family members trying to cause rifts in between us, I do feel like it affected him in his subconscious. That's why I say you have to have a man that's strong in his love for you if you're going to deal with that, and where he has the strength to put up with it. Because it really did affect my ex-fiance, you know, because he is close with his mother. He is closer with his mother than his father. I was kind of the one that kind of pushed him to have that relationship with his father, because I'm like, one, your dad is local, your mom's in Florida. Like, I'm not going to date you unless I can meet your family. That's another thing. Young ladies, do not date a man unless you can meet somebody in his family, somebody that he's close to. If you're dating him and you've never met anyone that he's related to, close to, whatever, that he considers family, red flag. Like, he has to be bringing you around people that he considers close to him for you to know that it's serious. Because then a man's not going to bring you around if he doesn't take you seriously. So when he takes you seriously, and you'll know he takes you seriously when he does stuff like that. So needless to say, we take the premarital classes, and that premarital class was the bomb. Like, if you're in a relationship right now, you're watching me, and you are about to get married and you have not done premarital counseling, or you're considering marriage and you have not done it, do it. I'm telling you, like, whew, it was so detailed. We had homework. They gave us textbooks. They gave us workbooks and worksheets. We had assignments. We had projects. I mean, I remember the first night of the class, the first session's homework, we had a whole debate about, like, the things that we were ranking our top 5 of life. It was like, the question was like, rank the top 5 things that are most important to you in this season of life. And we literally had a whole debate about the fact that I think marriage and family was number 1 and 2 for me, and marriage and family was number like 3 and 4 for him. We had literally like a 3-hour discussion on that. I wouldn't even say debate. It was like a 3-hour discussion, and we got so deep and asked each other questions that we probably wouldn't have asked otherwise, and had a really, really, really in-depth conversation. And the next morning, I remember we woke up and we're like, I feel closer to you. Like, I feel like I know more about you. So I'm a huge advocate for premarital counseling, and get one that is detailed. Don't get one of these fluffy, beat around the bush premarital classes. Get one that's going to dive in deep, get to the heart of the issue, and all of that, because it is so valuable. Like, what you get out of it is worth the investment. So we took the premarital class at his suggestion, and I remember one day he called his mom, or his mom had called him, either way, and he told his mom that we were taking premarital classes, right? And that we were working towards getting married, and she laid into him. I mean, my ex-fiance is a big dude. Like, I've always dated big guys, like 6'3", 6'4", 6'6", 6'7", strapping. Like, they look like they could be bouncers in a club, or like they could just pick you up like a bag of chips and throw you across the room type thing. Not that you want anybody to do that, but I'm just saying they just had that kind of like, like I'm a man, And he was not the type to cry like that. Like, he wasn't even super emotional or anything. But I remember after this argument with his mom, I went in the room and he was crying, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like my heart just melted, and I knew that he was hurting, because like I said, that was not his style to just be super emotional, right? I'm the crier, not him. And even then I didn't cry as much as I do now. And so I was just like, are you okay? And he was just like, man, like, I just feel so defeated. Like, I just want my mom to be happy for us, and this, that. Because my family at this point, they had their reservations about it all. Not as much as with the other guy, as with Bob. But they were just like, there's some things that you guys should work out. Like, you want to make sure he has a career. You guys are settled. This, that, the third. I was older at this point. I was actually like settled myself, but they want to make sure he was settled. But they were supportive even still. They were like, you know what? It is what it is. We're going to support you regardless, right? And so, we continued the premarital class. He did ask me to marry him. Now, it wasn't the whole get down on one knee, ring in hand and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of just one of those like, will you marry me? Like, I think it's about that time type of thing. So I don't know what it feels like to have a guy on one knee, But at the time, I was like, hey, it is what it is. And honestly, I'm not going to say that your engagement isn't valid if he doesn't get down on one knee. I feel like you can be engaged just by the guy. If he asks you, you're engaged. So don't feel like you have to have this big, grandiose engagement and all that. Like, you definitely deserve that. But if you're engaged right now and you didn't get that, and you have real love and a real connection, don't feel like it's not worth it, or it's like any less than what it really is, So I didn't want to say that and then make it seem like it was shade, like, oh, well, if you didn't get the ring and the diamond, you ain't really engaged. Not everybody wants that. So nevertheless, we were engaged at this point, and he asked me all that. We finished the premarital class, and then I think it was my 25th birthday party. Yeah, my 25th birthday party. My brother used to have an annual birthday party for me and one of my old best friends at the time. Our birthdays were 2 days apart, I should say. And at this club that my brother used to manage, like the promotions and stuff, he used to host an annual birthday party for us. And then he would have his huge Sagittarius birthday bash, because it was a bunch of us that were Sagittarius birthdays. And all these people would come out, family, friends, people that I don't even know, hugging me, saying like, happy birthday, sis. And I'm like, thanks. So we taking selfies together and stuff. So my ex-fiance and I went to this party, right, at the club that my brother used to manage or whatever. And so I'm dancing. I'm like, hey, it's my birthday. I'm 25. Hey. We lit. We in the corner. I'm grinding on him and doing all this stuff, right? And so I remember we left out the club, and I had a cute dress on too, and I was snatched back then, okay? I was like, so I had this cute black dress on. Hair was up in like a cute little puff, curly puff, and all kinds of stuff. So I remember we had a carpool to the club, and I was intoxicated. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't drunk like blackout drunk, but I was feeling nice. So we left the club. I was tired. I was feeling nice. My ex-fiance was also feeling nice, but he was way more sober than me. And we couldn't remember where we parked the car. So we found the car. We drove the car to the front of the club. And then I texted my brother. I was like, hey, my phone is about to die. We're at this street, this, that. Now, my brother was messed up. Okay. Like, he was messed up. And so me and my ex fell asleep in the car, and the car started to fog up and everything because we're asleep. And I guess my brother was that gone that he didn't recognize the car and didn't get the text. So my brother leaves the car with another family friend of ours, and leaves the club with another family friend of ours. And apparently they were looking for us for a while. And so when he finally finds us, he goes off on my ex, right? Like I said, I feel like my brother had pent up anger. He was just waiting for an opportunity to go off. So he goes off on my ex. My ex and him start arguing, and they're going back and forth. And my brother's like, see, that's why I don't like you, and da-da-da-da-da, and just like using this as an opportunity to go off, right? So I remember we get to one of my my brother's old business partners' apartment condo buildings or whatever on 14th Street Northwest, and we all get out the car, and my brother and my ex are arguing on the street like they about to scrap, and I'm just like, no, don't do it, get off of him, y'all ruining my birthday. And the other family friend is like, get off of, back up, don't be like, we break out the fight in my LBD, my little black dress in the middle of the street. It's like 3-4 in the morning. I'm like, no, get away, don't do it, y'all, da-da-da-da-da. And so my brother's like, come on, leave him, let's go upstairs, forget him, forget Trevor, da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna leave Trevor. So Trevor and I take a Uber or whatever back to my apartment, and we just feel sick, right? Sick to our stomachs. We wake up the next morning, and it's like literally after that, our relationship was never the same. I feel like the pressure of Trevor's mom not supporting us, and then like my family's subliminal issues with our relationship, and then his own issues as a man, like trying to figure it all out, it was just too much for him to handle. And so that was kind of the turning point of our relationship. Needless to say, we ended up having like a family intervention about it. My mom talked to me and Trevor, she talked to my brother, you know, it was kind of like a kumbaya moment, the best that we could get at that time. But needless to say, January 2014 rolls around. Like I said, at this point, our relationship's not the same. I'm starting to feel some type of way because I'm like, okay, we have real love for each other. I know that I really love you and you really love me, and we have a commitment to each other, but I can see you're wavering. Like, even though we did the premarital class, even though you had asked me to be your wife and all that, it's like, I see that you're really not 100% there, you know, because you still want your family to support. And then he also has a son that he wanted to find because, long story short, when he went away to spend time in jail, his son and his son's mother took the son away, and like he doesn't know where his son's at and all that. So at that time he was like, I really want to reunite with him, I want to try to find him and this, that. And at this point I'm like, well, I done invested all this time, all this money, all this love, all this emotion, all this support. I don't want to have to put my life on hold for several more years while you try to find your son. Like I can't, you know, I just wasn't there at that point. And honestly, you know, I'm like, I can support you as a friend, but this can go left very quick because that was a whole another iffy situation. So I'm like, this can go left really quick, and it can cost a lot of money that neither of us have. And I don't think it's fair for me to sit and wait for 5 years for you, or even longer or whatever, for you to figure that situation out. But I also don't think it's fair for me to stop you from trying to find your son. So all of these things were kind of compounding to cause rifts in our relationship. And it's just like, okay, you're kind of going this way, I'm kind of going that way. I feel like my life is set and ready and I just need to get married. And you're kind of like, well, I need to get my career, find my son, get my family support, this, that, like, you know, it's just too much. And I'm like, I done poured my all into you. That's why, ladies, mind how you're investing in a man. Invest in him if it's showing worthwhile. You know, don't overinvest if it's just going to take too much out of you, because you can literally leave a situation and it could be 10 times worse than how mine is, you know, and how mine ended up. But needless to say, we ended up moving to Woodbridge, Virginia, because the rent at my place was getting to be too expensive in Alexandria, Virginia. And so when we moved to Woodbridge, Virginia, at that point, he started getting career jobs that he could actually last in and do stuff in, right? But my ex has always been the type that's been, I don't want to say wishy-washy, but he just gets excited by every opportunity that flies by his face. So he'll be focused on this, and then tomorrow opportunity comes up and be like, oh, I want to do that. And then the next day, oh, I want to do. So it was kind of hard to get him to just settle down. But needless to say, at this point, because of all that had went down with me trying to make the relationship work, I was already feeling disenchanted. I'm like, I deserve more than this. I deserve to have someone that knows that he wants to be with me, you know? I deserve someone that not only knows that he wants to be with me, but that he also is ready, like in a point in his life where he's ready to be with me as my husband. So I was already planning my exit strategy, you know. Now, granted, I have to say that each place that we lived in, it was basically in my name. The Woodbridge place was in both of our names. So I had to figure out, how can I break up with him and also get him out of the house, because I'm not moving, he's moving, you know. And so I started thinking about all these things, and I'm just like, all right, I have to get my ducks in a row before I make a move, because I don't want it to go left. Like, you know, you and someone can be in the best relationship ever, and then when you break up, it's like things could go left and you can see what they're really made of. So I was like, okay, I got to really figure this out. So I figured out out that I have to get him to sign his name off the lease, but I have to do it in a way where he doesn't realize he's signing his name off the lease. So May comes around, and I remember it was Mother's Day weekend of May 2014. And I was just in the kitchen washing the dishes, and our kitchen had like one of those little window thingies in the, sorry, my camera's twisted. This is a hot mess. When you're trying to do something on your phone and it's not working with you, okay? But yeah, I remember that I was washing dishes in the kitchen, and we had a little window that looked into the living room, and I was just washing, scrubbing the pots, and I'm looking up every now and then. I'm like, look at this Bama watching TV, just chilling on the couch, just you know, I was just not here for it, right? And so he's sitting back, chilling, relaxing, and I don't know, it just came over me, and I was like, I'm breaking up with you. I just said it out of nowhere, right? And so he was just like, what? And I was like, I'm breaking up with you. We're done. Like, I can't anymore. And he was just like, you know, I saw this coming too. He was like, I knew it was coming. I was like, you did? And he was just like, yeah, I could just tell, like, in the way you were acting, I could tell in like how the relationship was just starting to feel, you know, it just wasn't the same. And so I was like, dang, like, I guess I can't hide my emotions as well as I thought, especially when you're living with someone, right? And so we sat on the couch, we talked about it, and I was like, you know, I really do love you, but I just feel like I'm pushing for marriage, I'm pushing for kids, and you want it, but you want all this extra stuff to work out, and you want your family to come around, and you want to have the perfect career, and you want to find your son, and you want everything to be just one big happy thing. And it's like, I can't put my life on hold anymore. Like, I just cannot, you know? I was like, and I feel like I want it more than you. Like, you want marriage and kids because you love me, but I don't feel like it's something that you just naturally was like, I'm gonna do this, you know? And you can tell the difference. Like, for me, I want a guy who really wants it. I don't want him to see me and just be like, yeah, we could get married, you know? Like, I want him to be like, I want a wife. I was praying for a wife, and that's you. Like, you fit what I was praying for, type thing. Because then I know that he's not gonna have regrets about being married. Because marriage is work, you know? We can't fantasize marriage, ladies, okay? As much as we want to be married, we're like, oh, the wedding dress and this, that. It's real work to live every day with someone. And that's why, like, I know a lot of Christians say you shouldn't shack up, and that's a whole other debate in and of itself and all that kind of stuff. But for me personally, and now I'm not going to say, oh, go out there and live with every boyfriend. Don't go out there talking about, well, Rondell said, Daily Dell said that you should live with your man. Don't be doing that, because I don't want mothers inboxing me talking about, you told my daughter to live with her. No, no. I'm saying for me, I'm on the fence about it, because having lived that experience, I see that it's beneficial to have that experience of living with someone. You really don't know someone until you live with them. But on the flip side of that, I think that if you are dedicated to the work that comes with marriage and relationships, that you don't have to get a taste of living with someone before you actually commit to the marriage. You know, like, you just make up in your mind that you're willing to put in the work, and whatever happens, you know, as long as it's nothing detrimental or dangerous for you. So I'm on the fence about it. I see the pros of it. I see the cons. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, and I'm not going to judge them either way, but don't go around talking about, I told you to do it. Okay. I'm just saying, I see it for me. So nevertheless, broke up with him, right? Mother's Day weekend 2014. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I gotta move expeditiously to get him out the house. So I remember going to the rental office and telling them, like, hey, my boyfriend and I broke up, kind of need to get him off the lease and this, that, the third. They were like, okay, well, what you can do is get this paperwork signed, bring it back, and then everything will be good. So what I did was I went to the house when he was asleep, because I used to get up early to go to work at this point. I was getting up at like 3 in the morning, leaving the house no later than 5 a.m. to get to work in DC from Woodbridge, because traffic in the DC area, if you don't, you'll be sitting in traffic for 2-3 hours trying to get to DC, especially from that far in Virginia. And I left early, and I went back to the apartment at like 5:30 or something, because I got the sheet the day before, and then I went to the apartment like 5:30, and I was just like, oh, can you sign this so I can take it to the rental office? They need us to sign because they're doing, I made up some lie, honestly. I was like, they're doing renovations and they need our consent to enter the apartment or something like that. And my ex, bless his heart, he is not the type to read the fine print. That was my job. I'm always the type that's like, wait a minute, what is this? What am I signing? He just signed. So he signed it in his sleep. And then when he woke up, I think it was later that day or the next day, I was like, all right, you got to move out. And I didn't just say it like that. I kind of slid it into conversation more graciously. And he was like, what do you mean I got to move out? I was like, you're not on the lease anymore. He was like, what do you mean I'm not on the lease? And I was like, that paper you signed yesterday, you signed your name off the lease. And he was like, what? Like, I'm not going to lie. We had about 2 or 3 weeks of us beefing. Like, we were beefing. He called me out my name. I called him out his name. We were fighting. We were just, not physical fighting, but it was just like, you know, on some, well, I mean, it did slightly get physical. Like, he pushed me, I pushed him, but it was no hitting or anything like that. But yeah, it's like we were just beefing because at that point he was mad. He was like, where am I gonna go? You know, I'm trying to get myself together, this, that. I'm like, that's not my problem, okay? I've been supporting you for almost 2 years, your hopes, your dreams, all of that. Like, we're done. You know, you gotta figure it out. And so I was like, you got to the end of June to move. So that was like May, like mid-May. So from mid-May to the end of June, remember I said that John was always kind of lurking in the background, like remaining my friend, trying to kind of plant a bug in my ear, like, oh, you shouldn't be with Trevor, you should be with me, I get you, this, that. So me and John are hanging out, like talking and stuff, and I'm telling him like me and Trevor broke up, and he's like, see, I told you, like, that wasn't the man for you. He's real pressed now. He's like, see, I told you that wasn't the man for you, and you need to be with me, and da because that's just not your style, and blah blah blah. And I remember one night we were riding around, listening to music, me and John, the first guy, and Trevor calls me, and I had a Nissan Altima and I had the Bluetooth on, and so he calls me and he's just like, babe, like, why are you doing this? Why are you breaking up with me? And he just sounded so down, like he might have been crying because he was at the house by himself. I was working, and then me and John decided to hang out before I went back home, and I was just like, what do you mean, what am I doing? And he was just like, I love you, like, I really love you, I just don't really want to end it like this, and can we work it out, and this and that. And I know he was genuine. I mean, I do know that he needed a place to stay too, but I know that he really meant what he said. I know it wasn't on some like, I just need a place to stay, so let me try to butter her up. Like, I really felt the emotion in his voice, and I heard it, and I was like, it's done. Like, I'm at my wit's end. I can't do anymore. I cannot. And so that was the end of that phone call. And then fast forward to the end of June. At this point, he was trying to get me to let him stay longer, but I'm like, no, because if you stay longer, you're gonna worm your way back in, and it's just not gonna work. So I took him to work. At this point, he was working for a road company, like the people that go and pave the roads and put the little white lines and stuff. And he used to travel all around the country, most of the East Coast and the South, doing that work. And so I took him to work, the office in Manassas, and I dropped him off. He didn't know that I had put his bag with his stuff in the trunk like the night before or something like that. And I dropped him off to work, and what was it? He was like, so you gonna pick me back up? I was like, no, I'm not picking you back up. And he was just like, what do you mean you're not picking me back up? I was like, your stuff is in the trunk. You can figure it out. You can stay at a hotel, you know, on the company's dime, because they used to pay for the hotel. I was like, or you can stay with one of your coworkers. I don't know. Figure it out. You got a job. You got money now. Figure it out. He was just like, damn, for real? Like, you just go and drop me off at work? And then I was like, yep. And I left him at work. And that was that. Like, that's how I broke up with my ex-fiance. Now, granted, about a month after that, like, towards the end of July, we started like hanging out again. We touched base because he ended up getting a place in Manassas, which was like 25 minutes from where I was staying in Woodbridge. So we used to hang out often all the time and just kick it and all that kind of stuff. And some of his roommates were really creepy, but there was one guy that was super creepy, and him and my ex actually got into a fight at a movie theater over me because he was like hitting on me. And yeah, it was a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, girl. So sis, that's how I broke up with my ex-fiance. Now I have to say, like I said, me and him are still cool to this day. We still talk. He was very, very supportive of me when I was pregnant. He was actually the second person I called when I found out I was pregnant. I called my son's father, and then I called him, and I was like, you know, this is how my son's father acted. And he was very understanding because this was around the same time that we had talked about when I was dating my son's father, me and my ex-fiance had talked about giving our relationship another go, and he had asked me to marry him again. And my mom was actually like looking at places for us to get married and stuff like that. And then my son's father and I ended up just getting more serious, and then I got pregnant. So, you know, it definitely was one of those things where I know I have a friend for life in him. He gets on my daggone nerves, and I think he is country as all get out, and he got a peanut head and all sorts of stuff. But my ex-fiance always has my back, and he's moved on. He got a girlfriend. He living his life, but he like rides for me. He's like, look, okay, she's been around from day one. She's gonna always be my friend. And it's not on no disrespect, because like I said, we don't talk like that. I don't intrude on his relationships. I'm nosy, so when he's dating someone, I'm like, who is she? What's her name? Where's she from? But I do that with all of my friends. I'm just nosy. I want to know the deets. I want to know the tea. But he literally supported me. He comforted me that night when my son's father was being a jerk, and that's another story time I'm gonna tell you guys soon. But you know, he just comforted me, and he told me it was gonna be okay. He prayed with me, and he actually bought the stroller, one of the bigger stroller I have for my son. He bought that. He bought my son's bassinet. He bought him a couple of toys and DVDs. I remember when I was pregnant, my ex-fiance, he came and surprised me when we were staying at the townhome that ended up having the mouse infestation in the basement. But he came and surprised me. He told my mom he was coming, and I didn't even know. I was taking a nap, and I woke up, and he was just there, and he was like, oh, you know, hello, sleeping beauty type of thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, you came to see me. So he's always going to be a friend. We've had great times. Even now, we still reminisce on it. We're like, remember back then when we used to be so wild and stuff? He actually visited me last year before I moved down to Atlanta. He came to VA. He was doing a drop, and he stopped at my house and, you know, took me grocery shopping, and we just laughed and joked, had some wine, had some pizza, and we were like, remember back then when we did this or that? Now we all dry and boring and stuff. So ladies, that is how I done my ex-fiance. Moral of the story: find a man who is in a space where he's ready to get married, where he really wants to get married. Make sure he has the strength to deal with any adversity that you might face, and never be afraid to walk away. Sometimes it's just right person, wrong time. Like, that phrase is really true. If I had met my ex-fiance now, I feel like maybe it would have worked out. But now it's like, I just see him as a brother. Like, the love isn't even there like that. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity that I had, because he really set the standard for me as far as what I expect a guy to do when it comes to his pursuit. Like I said, my ex-fiance and I, from day one, it was never a question of whether he was interested. He always did what he said he was going to do. If he said he was going to call me, he called. If he said he was going to text, he texted. If he said he was going to plan a date, that's what he did. He never, ever left me to question. And he's just been loyal. Like, literally, he's always been there when I need him. Even if he doesn't have it or he's not able to, he finds a way, or he at least gives me words of encouragement. So it goes to show that you can also end a relationship and still be cordial and still have a friendship. And that's why it's important to make sure that foundation is there. I'm not going to say to take your time, because I don't necessarily believe in time limits per se, but to make sure you're really getting to know that person. So that's all I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed this story time. Let me know if you have ever dumped a fiance before or am I alone in this? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Love you guys. Bye.